Now we know it affects elderly people with heart problems and other problems. If they have other problems, that's what it really affects. That's it. You know, in some states, thousands of people, nobody young, below the age of 18, like nobody. They have a strong immune system. Who knows? You take your hat off to the young because they have a hell of an immune system. But it affects virtually nobody.
Virtually nobody. What's an amazing thing. Hats off to the young people who we also don't give a fuck about. I mean, honestly. The Trump, and you heard the audience, they're like, yay. You know, young people are overwhelmingly left-wing, right? It is kind of funny. But look, that's Donald Trump saying that 200,000 people that died from coronavirus, virtually nobody. Affects virtually no one. Great. So, hey, if you're one of those people who lost a family member or friend to COVID, no, the president thinks that you are no one. Because obviously, virtually nobody was affected. What a man of the people right here, let me tell you. He also said the elderly people are affected. But look, it's the elderly and the immunocompromised. Are they more at risk? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And just happen to make up, as some of you point out, Donald Trump's base. But look, that's why it's a bad idea, because if I would have, more in that speech, right, he basically said after that, by the way, we should open up the schools. Let's open up the schools. Oh, right, so your kids can go to the school, all congregate with each other, spread COVID around to each other, and then bring COVID back to their parents and grandparents. And by the way, children are not immune. Young people are not immune. Children also get sick. Young people can get very sick and can have damage, can die from it, as well as young adults can also get sick or die from this disease. It's just a little bit less than older people who are even more at risk, but it doesn't mean that there's no risk for younger people. And so that's why it is a terrible idea to open up the schools. And by the way, again, the cases of COVID-19 killing young people and regular people involve things like heart attacks. For example, there's a 21-year-old man in Florida, very healthy person, right? No pre-existing conditions. He ended up getting what he called a very mild case of COVID, right? He's like, I had the mild case, and he's like, wasn't too bad. It was okay. I got over it. And then afterwards, his organs literally started shutting down. He nearly died as a result. And then this, again, 21-year-old, right? Hats off to the young people. Well, he's a young person, and there are examples of that all over the country. Just because they're a little bit less likely to suffer to suffer death doesn't mean that they don't suffer, okay? And that's the problem. This can happen to healthy people, okay? And his name, by the way, was Spencer Rollins. Spencer Rollins originally thought that this was a joke. Like, COVID, they're just kind of blowing this up. And that's what you hear from conservatives all the time. Oh, well, there's this, overhype in this. It's not really that big of a deal. No, it is a big deal. It's serious. It's not a game, okay? And by the way, Spencer Rollins don't think that anymore, right? He doesn't think COVID's a joke. And by the way, if you have this, and yes, a lot of people get it, do recover, okay? But there's a significant portion of them that have serious health problems as a result. People that get heart damage, kidney damage. Not to mention, we live in America where we have crushing medical debt from people spending time at the hospital because we don't have universal health care in this country. There are issues. But as usual, President Donald Trump cannot see past his own re-election, and that is a major problem. And by the way, after on top of dismissing the real risks of coronavirus, including students, President, and this is according to advocacy group Social Security Works, they say, the president's remarks show that Trump thinks the lives of seniors, in his words, elderly people, are disposable. That is his base. And as long as they vote for him, and many will, he does not care what's going to happen to them as a result. And the kicker here, of course, is that Trump is lying to people. He told Bob Woodward that this virus is indeed dangerous. It's horrific. It's unbelievable. And doesn't just affect old people. That's his private position. You see his public position. And that's it. Okay? That's a problem. So yeah, he's gaslighting you. Because he thinks his followers are morons. And you know what? He's right. They are morons. Look, if you still have all the information, because it's everywhere, okay, and you decide you still want to support Trump, and you think, not a big deal, well, then you're either dumb or you're greedy, and you don't care about people dying from a pandemic. And you're also likely, by the way, to be the type of person who would call for Hillary Clinton's head if even 200 people died of COVID-19 if she had won the presidency, by the way. But, hey, you don't give a shit about 200,000 because it's not about principles. It's only about politics. That's, my guy, my team, my cult. And that's what it is. You're a cult member. And now, here are some of the facts for those who are not cultists. According to the CDC, nearly 40,000 Americans under the age of 65 have died from COVID-19, including hundreds between the ages of 15 and 24. So much for virtually nobody, okay? And by the way, the death toll does not include hundreds of thousands of people, just the thousands of people who have been seriously sickened and hospitalized by this virus. Now, I hate the idea that it doesn't really count if you didn't die from this, right? It doesn't mean that you haven't been impacted in a negative way. I mean, there are long haulers who deal with this virus for months. People who cannot function, they can't really work. They're, massively tired. There's depression that goes along with it. They can't really do anything because this virus is assaulting their bodies. But Donald Trump, he doesn't give a goddamn. Neither do his followers. If it doesn't affect him, they don't care. And the worst thing is, now we're in the fall season, right? Fall, winter. We've been warned by medical professionals that summer wasn't really that bad. But wintertime, fall time, here it comes. COVID, and we're already seeing a spike, a second wave in a lot of places. Europe, for example, who did do a lot of the right things, they did lock down, and they're already seeing an increase in cases. Yeah. So, look, this is a huge problem. And by the way, in Europe, they did, income support, and they did do a lot of the right things. Yet here in America, we did not take the summer to prepare. We didn't do anything. We barely even had a lockdown. And in some places, some places didn't do anything at all. Didn't encourage wearing of masks. And we didn't support small businesses or people. We gave away most of the money to the rich. There was a story that came out where a lot of the aid money that was supposed to go for, making masks and ventilators and things like that, guess what? That went to the defense contractors immediately. And then, of course, we started opening back up. As a result, we've got 4% of the world's population, 25% of the world's COVID-19 cases. That is a failure of not only policy, but leadership. And it's because our leaders don't give a damn about us. Donald Trump, Republicans, as well as the corporate Democrats that enable the Republicans and Trump. And we haven't even seen the worst yet. Reuters has reported, by the way, that the University of Washington's Health Institute is forecasting coronavirus fatalities reaching 378,000 by the end of the year. That's almost 200,000 deaths. It has taken this long to reach 200,000. And now they're saying in the next 3 months, less than 3 months, an additional 178,000. The death toll by December, they say, is likely to reach 3,000 people a day. 3,000 people. That is nearly a 9/11 a day. Are Republicans going to say anything about it? Absolutely not. Because they don't care. They don't give a damn.